Okay. All right, TJ, you can hear me now?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Did everyone have an opportunity to look over the May 28th, 2024 meeting minutes? If so, are there any corrections or additions, or can we accept them as written? Can I get a motion, Matt?
I'll make a motion.
Oops, sorry, TJ, I'll get you next time.
Okay.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Greg, solid waste and recycling year-to-date tonnage comparison.
Well, team, thank you for, all coming together here this morning, and we are now rounding a full 6 months into the year. The good time to get a snapshot to see where we are, on our tonnages, and our equated revenues or potential or our estimated revenues off of those tonnages, for these 6 months. We were actually doing fairly well, just as the county kind of had been going over with our sales tax revenue. Things have trended a little bit better than what we estimated or thought and had the feeling they were going to be back in February and March. But unlike sales tax revenue, we are seeing some of those impacts of shrinkflation or inflationary cost. So yes, our community is out still consuming, and buying goods, but they are getting less goods or buying more durable goods at a higher price. So we're not seeing that in tonnage growth. We're stable, but the growth in tonnage, really is not there. So year to date, as you see, the biggest difference in tonnage, and we've been coordinating with the greenhouse on that, has been the greenhouse. It's roughly 1,600 tons that normally would have came in the beginning to middle of May on a clean out, but they've had some operational changes, and that may coincide later in October, to see some of that tonnage come back in. We've increased a little bit of tonnage with Okra's ash, still staying within our DEC permit limit. But that, as you can see, is at a much smaller revenue basis. And then we've had a very positive thing over this past year, on the biosolids swap with Oneida. Their tonnage as their plant has come online and they've increased flows to the plant, their tonnage has gone up, but we've also not shipped any leachate out of the system. So financially, that has been a great win for both of our programs. For us not having to use Hall and use the Rome wastewater treatment plant, saving on operational expense, and then for the city of Oneida, saving on their disposal expense. So that's been a great win-win for both of us right now. But if you look at the first line, the line one MSW line, that 114, we've seen the biggest swing. That was Syracuse haulers taking over the HR accounts. And then those that didn't trickle in under HR, particularly in the southern tier, with Burt Adams accounts paying that higher rate. And that's why here the past board meeting, in the previous committee meeting, we voted to create a solitary contracted rate at 114 to level that out, and equate our revenues for the year. So again, that was just a quick snapshot. I would love to, have some feedback from you guys where we see we're going, knowing that what we did here as a tip fee increase that we have set now for July 15th to be at that 114 level across the board. The 88 is going to all move to 114. How that may stabilize our revenues a little more. And then look at this model and what we're seeing fee wise, because in 2 months, we have to come back with a proposed budget here, for September, what we're going to look at in 2025. And I don't foresee moving our commercial rates and this fee structure much more in 2025, but we may need to address the residential punch card system for the transfer stations for that. Any questions?
I noticed the Okra incinerator ash. Are we maxed out at 8,000?
Julie. It's Tina.
Hello, Tina.
No, Jim, we're not maxed out. We try to stay around 10,000 tons.
Okay.
Our total beneficial use materials,
Mhm.
is we try to stay below 30% as using that as beneficial use as cover or within the landfill for that. There's guidance by the DEC to stay, around 30%, but there's no hard numbers. But our permit limit, the DEC gave us a bud permit. I believe it's up to 28,000 tons.
Okay, so it
So-
could be any
We-
bud material.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks, Greg.
So we're also with that, Jim, thanks. And I was going to cover that in additional or other business, but we're also now working with the city of Syracuse for their street sweepings to be under that BUD or ACM. So we have a soils beneficial use determination. I got approval by the DEC. So there's about 1,500 tons that the city of Syracuse is looking for disposal capacity for. We have the lab data, and that will come under beneficial use at $30 a ton, the same as our contaminated soils. So we're hoping to work with the city to get that moving here in July. To also benefit for something that we weren't seeing and we need to use as cover anyway to keep us from having to dig soils and that operational expense.
Any other questions? Or comments for Greg? All right, executive session? I don't know, Greg, what?
Yes, jumping into executive session, this will be
No, what
What's the reason?
what is it?
for discussion of a contract terms and Tina, I need your exact verbiage here. Or Melissa. Yes,
Okay.
negotiation of a contract.
Can I have a first? Jim, second? Matt? Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Keith, if you want to.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We're in executive session.